Good day, Hudson Valley. I'm your host, Lisa Caslin, and welcome to our show where we bring you the best of what's happening in Hudson Valley, Putnam County, Northern Westchester, and Southern Dutchess. Today I have a very special guest, Dr. Linda Silbert, who is the co-author of Why Bad Grades Happen to Good Kids. So I'm going to kick it off with that very same question. Why? Why do bad grades happen to good kids?
Oh, I wish I could give you a really easy answer. There are so many reasons. And when kids take a test or they write a paper and they get a bad grade, usually the teacher reacts by putting a grade with the red pen at the top, okay? Then the child goes home and the parent starts lecturing, grounding. But almost every child has a different reason why they got the bad grade. And I'll just give you a few. I mean, in our book, Why Bad Grades Happen to Good Kids, the entire book is about this. Yeah. Okay, first of all, when kids do any type of schoolwork, they have to know reading, writing, and arithmetic. There are so many children who have reading issues, and they are not picked up. There are children who have writing issues. Writing is a problem that people don't really even address. They're first starting to think about it, but so many kids, and I hate to say especially boys, you can't read the handwriting, and all they tell them is rewrite it, okay? But the writing is going to affect everything, even the math, because those numbers are not going to stay in a column, they're going to get squinched up. So there's reading, writing, and arithmetic. Many kids have difficulty in arithmetic, and for years they'd say, well, they're lazy, they're not paying attention. Some kids really struggle in arithmetic. There are so many other problems. One of them I call the three shuns, and it's in the book. Kids struggle in school because of, number one, motivation, okay? And motivation comes from within. And that's a problem because parents will hang the carrot and they'll say, we'll give you this, we'll just, the bribing, they'll do everything. You'll be punished. The negative usually gets worse and worse. So the whole book is stressing stick with the positive, okay? Then the other shun, the second shun, motivation, organization, and for many kids it's called disorganization. They are given an assignment, they come home with the book, they leave the assignment in school. They have the assignment, they don't have the book, okay, the organization. And also comes procrastination. I'm going to start, I think I'm going to start, I just have to do this, and then the night goes by and they start 10 o'clock at night and they're too tired.
Right. And the yelling and screaming.
And the yelling, yes. One boy said to me one day in our office, he said, have you been in my house or something? Because I said, I know exactly what's going on. The yelling begins. And so you have those problems. And then I have a whole chapter called The Terrible Twos, and it's T-O-O. Okay, some kids work too slowly. They can't keep up, and they're failing tests because they're not finishing, and no one even addresses that. Some go too fast. Some are multitasking too much doing homework. Research has actually shown that if you multitask, you'll not get as high grades. They've actually taken different teenagers and they've had some multitask, some just do the work, and then they saw what happened. And the kids who did not multitask did better.
So what's multitask? Do you mean doing the homework and listening to my iPod?
Yes, doing that, talking to their friends, they're texting, they're doing, because I work with all these kids, and they say, yeah, but I can't. I need to do this to concentrate. I say, trust me, you're going to do better. And talk to your friends. I love to get on the phone. I love to see, did somebody just email me? Did someone text me? But you have to, there's a time and a place. And now it's become everything, and they're fitting school in. Okay, so there's just too much multitasking.
So how do you think that education has changed in the past 20 or 30 years? I mean, not that I would remember that, but I know that there are some significant differences, and it seems like there's maybe more homework, but yet our kids aren't doing as well in school.
They're not doing any better. They're giving right now too much too fast. It's almost like this panic that we better keep up with everyone globally, or these kids will not get jobs, they won't be able to compete. But basically, they're giving them too much too fast, that they're expecting kindergartners to start reading. The brain development shows a child will not start to read until about 6. The brain actually changes. They go from pre-operational to concrete stage of development, and now you can learn how to read. Say starting them too young too fast. They're like, you know that I Love Lucy show, if anybody remembers that. But
Yes.
where they're doing the candies on the conveyor
Yes.
belt, I feel that's where the kids are now.
Yeah.
They're just going through school on this conveyor belt, and it's because so many people are getting involved who really don't understand brain development, they do not understand child development, so they're not learning more.
So you have a very controversial attitude towards homework, and my daughter is very on board with you. So you feel that homework is really an unnecessary evil. Talk about that.
Yes, I think purposeful homework is excellent. But so much homework is simply doing a page of this math. Well, if the child can't do the first two, they don't understand it. What are they doing with the rest of them? If they can do them all, what are you spending the time doing this for? Because you're only working with one part of the brain. Children, little children, elementary school children, must go home and play. Play will create more neurons, more brain cells, and will develop them better than sitting with more paperwork. You have all day in school, get it done in school. If there's something purposeful that will help develop the brain, yes, nothing at all wrong with it. I'm concerned about these children. And not only just that, they're signing these children up after school. And we own a tutoring center. So I'm not against tutoring.
Right.
But they're taking these children and putting them in these programs. After school, they should be playing. They shouldn't be sitting with more paperwork and more drill. They're teaching them to pass those tests.
And not only that, I mean, certainly the dynamic between the parent and the child is a lot better when you're not yelling and screaming at them to finish their math.
Yes.
And to
yes.
read for another half an hour.
Yeah. The state law, by the way, if you call Albany, is to read 30 minutes a day, including your time in school.
Oh, okay. So
Okay,
we should have that covered, right?
Yes. So don't stress out. Let them do crossword puzzles. Let them do something to increase vocabulary.
Right.
Or if they love to read, that's fabulous. But there are so many children who are not really readers. Has nothing to do with capability, but they may not be interested in reading.
Yeah.
Okay? And there's so many other things to do to develop the brain also.
I love that. So in your book, you talk about educating our children without harming them. How do you think that we're unknowingly harming them?
There's so many children that come to us that they're with their parents. The parents are angry, they're angry, they dig their heels in. And it's harming that whole parent-child relationship. Okay, children have to feel that their parents feel they're great, okay? And when the parent is constantly punishing and grounding and all these things, and it's school that's creating it, which is so sad. Learning is creating this. If you see that happening, step back and say, wait a minute, I don't want to harm our relationship. That's too important. You can always learn to read. You can always learn the history. You can, and we need to, I'm not against education.
Yeah.
Everyone in our family, we're walking around with PhDs. I'm not against education. But you have to become educated in a very positive environment. If you don't have the positive environment, you're going to lose the child.
Yeah, I think, you know, parents, myself included, are struggling with that. I really do, because, you know, you're told by the teacher, well, your child needs to do more of this and needs to focus. But sometimes it's, you know, it's easy to say that.
We all have a fantasy. We have this fantasy of some child. I don't know who it is. I mean, but they're saying they have to focus. Well, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
Ideally, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always
No,
happen.
it doesn't play out in real life.
No, you have to follow the child.
So why is it that, is our culture special? Because, I mean, look at these kids that are coming from China and India. They're so motivated. They're such great students. Why are they not having these issues?
Because you're seeing the ones in this country that are coming from China and India and Japan, and you're seeing, they're coming to our country, by the way, because we have the best universities.
Okay.
So they keep putting us down and putting us down. We have a wonderful university system. We have a wonderful educational system. What's happening is we're panicked and we're afraid that the kids are not going to learn. In certain countries, I don't want to name particular countries, they're having so much difficulty now with coming up with creative thinking so that the country can move on. Our country, we've invented the computers. We're the ones that are doing everything.
This is true.
Okay, and so we're looking at them and saying the grass is always greener. They have their own issues. So I think we're doing okay.
Okay. So the grass isn't necessarily.
No, it's not always greener.
So one of the foundational practices that you impart to parents wanting to improve their child's grades is to remedy the causes by accepting who they are, offer support where they can, and keep it in perspective.
Yes.
Elaborate on that, because I think parents don't really get that, and I think a lot of times teachers don't even really know what the cause is in some children, why they're not doing well in school.
If your child, first of all, you have to understand there's no human being that wants to go to school and say, I think I want to fail today. I think that'd be kind of fun. Everybody wants the gold star. Every child's waiting for that, okay? If they don't get it, and they don't get it, instead of saying, well, you didn't study, well, you're not going out this weekend, that's it. They need an ally. Yeah. They don't need a foe. They don't need an enemy. Parents have to be their allies, and the teachers have to be their allies. Find out what is causing it. As I said, it could be a reading issue. They could be tired. I had someone yesterday I met, and he was struggling last year, and his mom sent him to me, and his grandma, and I'm sitting with him, and they said, he's got to do better this year. We're applying to colleges. I went through his schedule. He finishes school, and then first works until 6, then goes to the gym till 8, or the ski team, and now he's going to bed at 10. So we have between 8 and 10 to do the homework, and as people say, study. What is, nobody really understands what study means. Study doesn't mean anything.
Can you tell me
what is study? Study, the word.
It's memorizing, isn't it?
No,
I mean, that's what it used to be for us growing up.
You first have to understand what you're learning. So many kids have no clue what they're learning, okay? Can I tell a quick story?
Yeah,
do you have enough time?
please do.
I had this little girl that came to me years ago, 9th grader, and she walks and she says, I'm having a test on India tomorrow, and I think I'm going to fail. I'm really scared. And I said, oh, Katie.
With the lilt.
Yeah, she's not sure. So when you teach someone, you go back to something that's in the long-term memory. That's how you learn. You must connect to something. So to connect, I figured she's already in 9th grade. I said, what continent is India on? Let's begin there. And she goes, North America. So I said, oh my God, Katie, you could fail. I don't know what's going to happen here. So we actually walked through this. She pulled out an article the teacher had given them, a beautiful article in the New York Times about a part of India that was having trouble because of because the cows roam the streets, and the germs and the disease. And the little section of this town, which was in New Delhi, was called Okla. Well, this little girl had taken her highlighters. It was pink and yellow and blue. It was beautiful. And she had interpreted this, that it was talking about Indians in Oklahoma going to a delicatessen. She had no clue what we were doing. And I called the teacher the next day, and he said, oh my God, I've had the map down the whole time. And when I said it to her the next time she came to me, she said, I know, I saw it. I didn't, you just don't put it together.
Yeah.
Okay, now she would fail. She'd get the bad grade. She'd feel horrible. Parents would be upset. And no one knows. She has no idea they're talking about Asia. Okay, that she has no clue what's going on. I mean, there's so many. I had a boy come once, he thought they were learning about some guy, Atom.
Yeah.
I finally saw the book. It's about atoms. It was a science class.
Wow.
We have no idea how the vocabulary, how kids miss what's happening.
So how do we make our children feel more comfortable about talking to the teacher when they feel embarrassed about not understanding? Like their peers around them, they know are getting it, but they're not, and they don't necessarily want to cop to that. How do they deal with that?
I don't blame them.
Yeah.
If I'm in a room with adults at this point and I'm not sure, I'm going to look it up. What happens to most of those children? They just shut down.
Yeah.
They're done. So they have no idea what just happened in class.
Yeah.
They don't know what's going on. The student, and I call them students, there's certain people who fit right into the system.
They're great.
They're students. They love it. Okay? They'll go up to the teacher afterwards and say, I was really lost. Okay, because kids learn from very young age. You do not ask the kid next to you what page or what are they talking about, because that immediately the teacher's going to say, that's why you never know what's happening. You keep talking. So now the child says, I'm not going to open my mouth. Okay? And then they just get embarrassed and they just sit there and they just fade.
It's worse and worse and worse.
By the time they get into high school, they've done research on it, these kids have just bowed out. They're in class physically. There's nothing happening.
So how do we catch that?
Well, you'll see a test grade. You'll see there's an evaluation, and instead of just giving a test grade, or the teacher has to pick up on this. The parents do too. If there's a good relationship, that's what I'm saying, that communication, the child will feel safe going home and saying, I just failed this test. I don't understand any of it. Or I'm having a test next week in bio. I don't get it. And the parents say, oh, I know, I struggled in that too. Let's see, there's options. Remember I talked about the shuns? There are options. And the kids have to know from young, very young on, there are options. If I don't understand, I'm safe to go to mom and dad. If they go to mom and dad and they know mom's going to go, because you weren't listening. You never listen. And dad's saying, don't bother me, I was in school, I don't care. Don't bother me with this. That's you're the kid. You better, I'm telling you right now, you better make sure you get an A. Well, who are they going to go to? And all they have are the parents and the teacher. Your peers aren't going to help you. And if you go to the peers, usually it kind of pulls you down.
Yeah.
It doesn't help you move on.
So how do you hit the restart button? And I don't mean to belabor this point, but I think it is something that is really worth sort of exploring here. So let's say you haven't been, you know, doing the best practices at home, present company excluded, and you want to hit the restart button with your child, and you want to, you know, change the way the dynamic is working, and you want to be better at it, and you want your child to feel safe. How do you kind of switch that?
Switch gears.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to change. I tell the parents got to change the dance here. So
yes.
The parent is the one doing it.
Right.
The parent is the one that has to say, whoa, my child just lied to me. And I mean, most parents come to me because of this issue of lying.
Yeah.
I tell them lying is simply a symptom that they're afraid to tell you the truth. That's all it means. So you have to go to your child and say to them, you know, I've never done this before parenting, and I'm really concerned that you're really feeling sad, and I think you're kind of nervous about school. I'm going to change what I'm doing. What do you think we should do so I can help you out? Go to them, open up communication, let them feel comfortable. And they're going to be a little confused at the beginning because they're used to grounding and all these things.
Right.
They'll be confused.
Yeah.
But just keep going. Don't interrogate them every day. Just, you know, just keep the lines. Say to them, how'd you do today? How was that math test? Was it hard? Yeah, I remember failing math tests. Let them know that it's okay. And one thing, go back and bring up things they accomplished.
Yes.
Bring up things. So remember in second grade when you how did you do that? I was so proud of you then, and I'm proud of you now. Let's see what we can do. I'll help you.
Yeah.
Let them know you're there.
Okay. We can do that.
Yeah, good.
You say there are 6 areas central to the development of socially and emotionally strong kids. Talk about what they are and how can we ensure that we are, you know, building that up in our children.
It's actually our company, you know, is called Strong Learning. And the books, everything we do is under Strong Learning. Strong is an acronym. The S stands for self-esteem. Okay, and not inflated self-esteem, true self-esteem. And this is something that most people don't understand. Self-esteem is a perception. How you perceive your significant others perceive you. Think about it. And the viewers out there, think about when you walk into a room, okay, and you think everyone thinks you're great.
Yeah.
You're going to feel wonderful.
Sure.
You walk into a room and you think everyone thinks, oh my gosh, look what she's wearing. Look at like, your self-esteem is going to go down.
Yeah.
But if you start young and your parents, you knew, they accepted you, they supported you, you will bounce back again. The self-esteem will be there. Self-esteem is critical.
Okay.
T, trust. Trust your parents that they'll be there for you. Trust those teachers, they'll be there for you. Sometimes by high school, kids will get a friend that'll just pull them down, and they trust them.
Yeah.
Okay, I've had kids say to me, I can't trust anyone.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Make sure as a parent you don't walk away, that you're there. Because they weren't asked to be born.
Yes, that's right. They weren't.
Nobody was asked to be born, and they could never pick their parents. Well, you're there, you've had this child, be there for them and let them know they can trust you. Our responsibility. Make sure the child is responsible. You're, as a parent, you're responsible for that child. That child has to know their responsibilities, but keep it in perspective, which, as I mentioned before. I had a little 10-year-old boy who was quite learning disabled, sweetest little thing, and he walked in one day really upset. And he said, I'm just doing too much for a 10-year-old. 10-year-old kid can't do this much. And we wrote down, well, what is it? Well, I got to get up in the morning. I have to comb my hair. Now my mom wants me to feed the cat. I mean, how much can a 10-year-old do? Well, that just put this kid over the top, over the edge. That was it. Oh, options. And if anything's happening, say, wait, let's sit down. And let's look up our options. Let's see what our options are. And needs. Needs have to be met. And I talk about hunger, sleep, anxiety, stress, the needs. G's, goals. Short-term and long-term goal. A short-term goal for the child is, let's see if we can get the homework done tonight. Let's set a timer and get it done within 30 minutes. Okay, and in the book, I actually tell how many minutes you should be working per grade level.
And then if they don't get it done in the 30 minutes, you don't stress it.
Don't
It is what it is.
That's it.
That's what he was able to do.
And if you see that teacher's keeping them in from recess, and this child can't do more than that, contact that teacher. These kids have to go out for recess. That's just as important as sitting and finishing that sheet. Okay? And long-term goals, go to museums, go traveling, visit people. They'll say, I love what they do. Culture. Let them know, wow, I'd like to do that.
I like that.
Okay.
So what, and I want to get to, we have so much to cover, but I do want to know, what do you do in the case where your child does have a disability like ADHD, for example, where they're mainstreamed in school, but it really is an issue?
Yes, and were there kids with ADHD years ago? Probably, because if you go back to the 1930s, the 40s, the 50s, kids dropped out of school by 8th grade. Okay, so they were just, they weren't students. Okay, if a kid does have something like ADHD, accept it. Accept it. Learn as much as you can about it. Don't say to the child, well, you're different. You learn differently. A lot of people tell this to children. Nobody wants to feel different. That's one of the basic needs of human development. It's number 2. It's first there's safety, second is belonging. The child wants to feel the same as everybody else. But the parent is the one directing this. Learn about it. There's wonderful people around. The CHADD program is a fabulous thing, C-H-A-D-D. Also, it's an acronym for children with ADD or ADHD, and it's an organization. Most counties, towns have it. And look into it and find out what you can do as a parent.
Do you think, and then we'll move on quickly, do you think that you should speak to your teacher if you feel that they may not be tuned into the issue of ADHD if their child is feeling embarrassed or something? Do you think it's appropriate to talk to the teacher about it?
Yes.
Okay.
And then communication, especially children with reading issues, because those children go to school, it doesn't go away. It's in every single subject. And they're sitting there, the anxiety is so high because they're afraid they're going to call on them to read. And yet they don't want to be left out because then they feel, I look stupid. The teacher, all that teacher has to do is tell them, tomorrow we're going to be reading this page in school. You'll have the second paragraph. No one in the class will know. So go home tonight. You'll be reading it. Practice it if you want. And when it comes to your turn, I'll just call on you.
Love it.
And you'll be ready.
All right. I have a couple of questions from some Facebook fans. One asks, do you have organization tips to keep track of homework?
with the papers they're coming home with? Okay. Binders. I call it the 3 Bs. Binders, binders, boxes, baskets.
All right.
Okay, now, especially if there's an ADHD kid, they're not going to open a lid. They're not going to open a drawer. Anything can just drop things in. And then eventually, once a week, hopefully sit down with your child and throw this out and keep this and put them in binders. and then just put everything up, and this is for science, this is for English, and so forth.
Okay. We only have about a minute or so. I want you to quickly tell us about your new book project, Tiger Tuesday.
Oh, yes. I put together an entire series called the a Tiger Tuesday reading program. And it's about Tiger Tuesday, this little character. And it begins with reading The Tale of Tiger Tuesday. And it's for preschoolers right through 4th grade. And it's to bring fun back into learning how to read.
Great.
It's the whole thing is to engage the child so that it's fun. And if they can't read one way, they'll read by playing games. If they can't play that game, they'll play a different game. They'll be in a play. And no matter what it is, the goal is to learn how to read.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so I know you have another personal project that you wanted to talk about quickly.
Okay, very quickly. My grandparents got married in New Rochelle, for local people here, in 1908.
Wow.
Way back. And my mother wanted a book about this story about her mother coming to this country. And so I actually take my mother, and she passed away at 97, and she knew the book was coming out. And it was just coming out, which is very interesting. And it's about my grandmother coming here, and it hits everybody, no matter what nationality, where they came from, during that entire era, that whole turn of the century. And we have in there what was happening in America during that time.
And it's Bessie's Pillow.
It's called Bessie's Pillow.
I love that.
And there's an actual website, bessiespillow.com.
Ah, perfect, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. Well, I'm going to encourage everybody to go to the gooddayhudsonvalley.com website, because we are going to feature 14 tips from Linda's book that will help you deal with your child to build trust, responsibility, and success in and out of school. So that's gooddayhudsonvalley.com. And as always, we look for your comments, your feedback, your suggestions. If there's a guest that you think we should have on the show, please don't hesitate to let us know. We'd love to hear that from you. And I think that's it for today. Have a great day, Hudson Valley.